Missed the intro there. Hey, hello friends, this is Sam Chaney. Today is December 5th, 2025, Friday edition of Weaponized News. Sorry I butchered the intro there. I don't know what the heck happened. Anyhow, thank you for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. What do we got today? Quite a bit on the slow Friday for news. Trump has awarded the FIFA Peace Prize, whatever that's worth, literally nothing, about as much as the Nobel Peace Prize. We got that to cover for you today. We've got Trump's retribution campaign is not going so well because it's all fake. We'll cover that. Old Pete Hegseth has the papers filed for impeachment there in Congress, and we'll show you how that's all fake and rigged as well. And so the government knows what they're doing here now to divide us as we continue to report social engineering, divide and conquer, balkanization at an all-time high here in America. What else do we got? We got Department of Homeland Security, follow-ups on reports. We have a congresswoman out of Arizona saying she was pepper sprayed by ICE, and ICE is saying it's not true. Somebody's lying. And all the lies, all the fraud, no one in the government ever gets in trouble, or very 0.00001%. Every now and again, they throw some patsy under the bus. It's justice, law and order. Department of War. Yesterday, they whacked another one of these boats. We have trauma-based mind control from the Department of War. We'll show you the video. They're very proud of it. Video of them doing another extrajudicial assassination, which is murder. It's murder. And so the Democrats picked this joker, like the worst dude you could pick, right, to be filing these impeachment charges. So that tells me none of this is legitimate. But hey, maybe it is. Maybe it is. We'll go over this. We'll go over the impeachment of Pete Hegseth. We got more technocracy news. Everybody loves the dystopia. The Department of Energy launches breakthrough AI-driven biotechnology platform. Sounds like a friggin' nightmare. We'll go over that. And then we're looking at a renewed push coming out of the White House early next year to go ahead and push an acceleration of humanoid robotics. As out of the other side of their mouth, they say, "Oh, all the manufacturing jobs are coming back to America." That's why they're rolling out humanoid robots for the manufacturing lines. You see, we got that to cover. The big public health news of today. Are we even allowed to say it on? I don't know. The Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, the ACIP, has voted in favor of removing the universal hepatitis B miracle recommendation for infants under 2 months old. Kind of a big deal, but maybe not so much. We'll cover that. They're still maybe negotiating something. Stop pulling the trigger there in Russia, Ukraine. Got the latest on that. And then old Berlin, Germany. Some would say they did not see this police state coming. Others will say that they did see it coming. Anyhow, yeah, big new police state news out of Germany. par for the course here as we charge into technocracy. Other geopolitical news and more genocide there in Gaza as per usual. But hey, there's peace in the Middle East and there's a ceasefire, as they continually tell us as they stack the bodies. Okay, on to this day in history. There's a few noticing events on this day of December 5th, going back to the year 1349. 500 aardvarks of the free imperial city of Nuremberg are massacred during Black Death riots, part of a wave of pogroms across Western Europe. Some would say they were noticing. In 1496, on this day, aardvarks are expelled from Portugal by order of King Manuel I. Some more noticing going on there in Portugal. In the year 1792, George Washington was re-elected president of America. 1804, Thomas Jefferson was re-elected president of America. On this day, in 1832, Andrew Jackson was re-elected president of America. In 1848, U.S. President James K. Polk triggers the gold rush of 1849 by confirming a gold discovery in California. In 1893, electric car built at the Dixon Carriage Works in Toronto could go 15 miles between charges. 1893. In 1941, U.S. aircraft carrier USS Lexington and 5 heavy cruisers leave Pearl Harbor. And since Pearl Harbor is going to be on the 7th, it's going to be a Sunday, we're not going to be broadcasting. Pearl Harbor was a false flag staged up by our government to get America into World War II. So don't forget that when we're celebrating Pearl Harbor this Sunday. Moving on to 1955 on this day, historic bus boycott begins in Montgomery, Alabama by Rosa Parks and other civil rights activists. In 1976, on this day, pediatrician Benjamin Spock and poet Allen Ginsberg arrested in New York while protesting against the Vietnam War. In 1991, on this day, Charles Keating Jr., Lincoln savings and loan fraud, found guilty. In 2008, on this day, O.J. Simpson is sentenced to 33 years for kidnapping and armed robbery. In 2018, on this day, a national day of mourning was called for former U.S. President George H.W. Bush as he lies in state at the Capitol Rotunda in Washington. Truly despicable and disgusting. Burn in hell, George H.W. Bush, because that's exactly where he is. And in 2020, on this day, we saw Russia begin mass miracling up people with its Sputnik 5 miracle in Moscow, despite the miracle not even finishing clinical trials. The medical intervention showed us they're all in it together, all governments lockstep. And if you didn't get in line as those leaders in Africa, an accident happened, you see. And that's how this global crime syndicate known as government operates. And it's transparent, exposed itself during the medical intervention period, but yet there's still those that refuse to see it. Willful blindness. to the tyranny of government. Very sad state of affairs for the human condition we find ourselves in toward the end of 2025, with so many in denial about the tyranny the government does against us. On this day in our civil liberties history, in 1946, in response to his alarm about violent attacks on African American veterans in the Deep South, then President Harry Truman on this day created a President's Committee on Civil Rights. It was a historic event as the first federal civil rights commission in American history. Truman had promised to create the committee in a meeting with NAACP leaders in Washington. The meeting had been prompted by a wave of highly publicized lynchings in the South in the summer of 1946. Historians generally argue that the lynchings were a vicious attempt by Southern racists to assert white supremacy in the face of rising expectations of African Americans who had been inspired by rhetoric of World War II, war for democracy, and opposition to racism in Nazi Germany. And with that, here's a mashup of propaganda from the White House delivering peace and stability to the world. We're in an illegal, undeclared foreign war of aggression in Somalia right now. U.S. Marines have put boots on the ground there, and we've carried out 102 bombings since Trump's entered his 47th term. Amongst other bombings, we bombed Iran. U.S. has bombed under Trump Iraq, Syria, Iran, Somalia, Yemen. Tell me more how he's delivering peace. Here's propaganda from the White House.
In this holy season, we prepare to celebrate the birth of the Prince of Peace. We have come to the U.S. Institute of Peace to sign a historic agreement that will end one of the longest-running conflicts anywhere in the world. Today, we commit to stopping decades of violence and bloodshed and to begin a new era of harmony and cooperation between the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda. I have a lot of confidence in both leaders. We'll keep these commitments. I know they're going to keep them and follow through on the agreement and create a much brighter future for the people of their countries.
These accords provide everything needed to end this conflict once and for all.
These Washington agreements for peace and prosperity must be for our peoples a symbol of
There you go. Doesn't get much more Orwellian. And they took and changed this building's name to Donald Trump United States Institute of Peace. This is our Orwellian dystopia from the White House as we continue extrajudicial assassinations as well as bombing of sovereign countries. But hey, he's the peace president. The propaganda says so. Here he is receiving the Peace Prize. Did he receive it here? No. Trump takes center stage at 2026 FIFA World Cup draw. And so call me skeptical. I say everything's rigged. I say the drawing for even this freaking soccer tournament's rigged. Anyhow, here's propaganda from the White House today.
President Trump, up to you. Don't forget to mingle, to mix.
I think I know what this is going to be now.
Everything.
But let's see.
Are you sure? Are you sure this is the ball? You can still change it if you want.
Does he know something that I don't know? Let's give it a shot.
Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a shot. I agree. Okay.
This is shocking.
United States of America. Excellent. Group D1. Can I?
Yeah, it's all rigged too. They just laugh in your face. It's all rigged. And there is Trump in his natural environment, in a game show type environment, doing this lottery drawing for seeding in this FIFA soccer World Cup draw. And so there he is in his natural environment as an actor in a game show type setting. Peace president. We just went over all of the killings that Trump has done, and he's just barely getting started. But he's been awarded the inaugural 2025 FIFA Peace Prize. What a freaking joke. But here it is.
FIFA, the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, awards the 2025 FIFA Peace Prize, Football Unites the World, to Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, in recognition of his exceptional and extraordinary actions to promote peace and unity around the world. Friday, December 5th, 2025. This is the certificate. It's yours.
Thank you very much. This is truly one of the great honors of my life. And beyond.
And Trump does love his idols. Take a look at this. The World Cup being held up there. There you go. And so he does love his idols there. Oh, yeah. Again, were they 80 something, over 80 people, something like this, already killed in extrajudicial assassinations, whacking the fishing boats or drug traffickers? We don't know. That's the problem, is we truly don't know, and we can't trust this government for what they're telling us. So that's why the evidence has to be brought forth to court, blah, blah. We know the routine here of law and order, due process, and so on, that allegedly our system's based on. And so he's done that. 80 some on people whacked by Trump. Again, he's bombed Iran, Syria, Iraq, Somalia, Yemen. It's the president of peace, you see. We're still in proxy wars there against Russia. We're in proxy war against Palestine, Lebanon, Iran, still a proxy war. So yeah, it's very peace in the Middle East, bro. It's peaceful, you see. We just don't understand. And let's see, this is Trump again in his natural environment. And you do love the symbolism of the world, of the hands holding up the world for the idol that is FIFA.
Thank you very much. This is truly one of the great honors of my life. And beyond awards, Johnny and I were discussing this. We saved millions and millions of lives. The Congo, as an example, over 10 million people killed, and it was heading for another 10 million very quickly. And it just, the fact that we could do that, India, Pakistan, so many different wars that we're able to end, in some cases a little bit before they started, just right before they started. It was going to be late, but we got them done, and it's such an honor to be with Johnny. I've known Johnny for so long. He's done such an incredible job, and I have to tell you, you've set new records on ticket sales, and not to bring that up, because we don't want to bring a thing like that up right now, but it's an awfully nice tribute to you and to the game of football, or as we call it, soccer, but football, and that is an amazing thing. The numbers are beyond any number.
There's your corporate government right there. It's all about the profits, bro. Okay, Trump's retribution campaign is going poorly, according to a report out of CNN. And of course, we shall be skeptical of CNN and all of the mainstream, but hey, sometimes they get it right, especially being critical of Trump here now. But something to consider when we take a look at this report. We were promised, hey, we're getting the bad guys, we're draining the swamp, all the bad guys are gone, blah, blah, blah. We know the lies, right? And turns out nothing could be further from the truth. And think of the tyranny of the federal government, the Department of Justice, when we go through this report here now. They're tyrannical maniacs. They're illegitimate. So CNN starts out by saying it's so rare for a federal grand jury to reject an indictment that it happened just 5 times in fiscal year 2013, according to the Bureau of Justice Statistics. 5 times nationwide out of more than 165,000 cases. That's 1 out of every 33,000, Ruckus. 33,000, 1 out of every 33,000 cases. In percentage terms, it's 0.003%. Yet, Trump and his Justice Department have now managed to achieve this remarkable feat in both of his signature attempts at extracting legal retribution against his foes. First came the grand jury rejecting 1 of 3 charges against James Comey, and only narrowly agreeing to bring the other 2. Then the indictments against Comey and New York Attorney General Letitia James were thrown out because the judge ruled the prosecutor was illegally serving. So you had according to the CNN report, you had a 0.003% chance of failure, and they failed. So what does that tell you? That tells you that the cases against just about everybody are cooked. And if they lose a case, it's because they want to. Okay. And so the government investigated themselves and found nothing wrong, you see, and found a little loophole there in the back that said, well, we're going to indict them and throw red meat out there and act like we're doing something to right the ship of corrupt government. But turns out they knew the entire time. Give me a friggin' break. Give me a break. So, yeah, complete and utter failure. Trump's draining the swamp, getting all the bad guys. Trust his BS. And give him some peace prizes for the continued bombing campaigns. Trump fan lashes out at Trump over racist rant. My children are not garbage. Remember, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? I forget at this point. Does it even matter when Trump called Somalis garbage? Here's another report out of CNN about with a Somali who's kind of offended by Trump calling him garbage.
I did speak with one man who pointed out an irony. There is support for President Trump in the Somali community. Here's more from Mohammed Ahmed. How did it make you feel when you heard the president say that?
I got 5 children. My children are no garbage.
What would you say to the president if you were standing here right now?
Mr. President, we campaign for you. We have hope in you. We see hope in you. Please differentiate between good, bad, and evil.
Meanwhile, Sarah, Governor...
The Somali said he campaigned for Trump? What's going on here in the chat? Let's take a look over there. Yeah, we got a couple people on this Friday. Shout out to the chat. Thank you for joining us on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Okay, here's Somali fraud in Minnesota may reach $8 billion. And still, we're waiting for somebody to get in trouble. Don't drive by Tim Walz's house over there in Minnesota and yell retard. He's offended by that, as we learned yesterday.
Fraud investigators are finding in Minnesota is growing by the day. Kelly Loeffler, who leads the Small Business Administration, says in the 2 days her agency has been investigating the state, they've uncovered at least $1 million in PPP fraud just 2 days in. Several of the whistleblowers in Minnesota have also told lawmakers they believe the total amount of fraud could total up to more than $8 billion. Governor Tim Walz, who is up for re-election, is under fire for all of this happening under his watch, but he says they...
Wait till they find out the entire system is a fraud, huh? Okay, here we have, where's she out of this representative, not a Republican, obviously, but a Democrat, Congresswoman, Adelita Gurjevla. I can't even pronounce her last name. Anyhow, she says that, well, let's play the video. She says ICE conducted a raid by Taco Giro in Tucson, Arizona, a small mom and pop restaurant that has served our community for years. When I presented myself as a member of Congress asking for more information, I was pushed aside and pepper sprayed. And so she's claiming here now in this video that ICE pepper sprayed a member of Congress. Let's take a listen to these claims.
Hi, it's Adelita Grijalva. We just came up on a community that was protecting their people. We had, I would say, maybe 40 ICE agents, most of them masked, in several vehicles that the community had stopped right here, right in the middle of the street, because they were afraid that they were taking people without due process, without any kind of notice. And so I was here. This is like the restaurant I come to literally once a week, and was sprayed in the face by a very aggressive agent, pushed around by others when I literally was not being aggressive. I was asking for clarification, which is my right as a member of Congress. So once introduced myself,
Bold claims. Department of Homeland Security here say that she's lying. If her claims were true, this would be a medical marvel, but they're not true. She wasn't pepper sprayed. She was in the vicinity of someone who was pepper sprayed as they were obstructing and assaulting law enforcement. So somebody's lying here, right? Somebody's lying. Department of Homeland Security or Congress. Yeah, what the hell? They're both lying. And then the meme of the day. The meme of the day from the Department of Homeland Security: isn't this festive for your Xmas season? Yeah, fully militarized police here at your front door, whether you're legal or illegal, you see? And so meme of the day there, very festive for this holiday season, a police state. A police state, meme of the day from Department of Homeland Security. Yeah, Merry Christmas. Everybody loves, getting raided by these guys on Christmas. So it couldn't be more festive. And then PSA announcement from the White House. Let's watch this short trolling clip. And what do they say here? They say, public service announcement: if you're a criminal illegal, you will be arrested and deported.
I think I might need to arrest someone for being too illegal.
Oh, well, I turned myself in.
You're under arrest.
You get the bag and fumble.
Yeah, we can't even play the music, but they can. They have no problem with copyright, apparently. Short little clip. I guess it kind of lost the effect without the music, but that's how it goes sometimes. U.S. Border Patrol plans $5,000 arrest fee for illegal crossers. The Trump administration will start charging a $5,000 fee to people apprehended who entered the United States illegally. The apprehension fee will apply to anyone 14 or older who is arrested and determined to have crossed the border without authorization. Yeah, good luck collecting that. And they're giving, if you volunteer to self-deport, you get $1,000, a free trip home. So I guess trying to offset some of that cost. Good luck collecting $5,000 from people here illegally. But that's what the report out of, who put it out? DHS, whatever, one of them. So, yeah, $5,000 fine on top of being deported. And still, we have no mass deportations. Supreme Court to decide if Trump can limit the constitutional right to citizenship at birth. The Trump administration is seeking to roll back the historical understanding that birthright citizenship extends to almost anyone born in the United States. And so this is taking us back to the 14th Amendment, right? And so the Supreme Court will hear this case. And some argue that the 14th Amendment didn't end slavery. It actually made everyone slaves. I don't think they're going to take it in that direction, but we will be following the case as it develops in the Supreme Court. Now's a good reminder. Where are we at here with it? Where did I put it? Maybe it's not a good reminder. Let's see. I lost it. Anyhow, I guess we'll get to it later in the show. Let's continue with the news here. Here is what happened at the Department of War this last week. Well, they did a bunch of murdering, for one, but they leave that part out of this report.
Hello everyone, I'm Pentagon Press Secretary Kingsley Wilson and welcome to the DOW's weekly situation report. Yesterday, Secretary Hegseth attended the funeral of slain National Guardsman and Army Specialist Sarah Beckstrom, who was murdered in Washington, D.C. by an Afghan national. In her honor, President Trump ordered flags nationwide.
Former CIA contractor, they left that part out too.
To be flown at half staff, including here at the Pentagon. The War Department also welcomed Beckstrom's colleagues to visit and tour the Pentagon Thursday morning. This week, the Department of War's Office of Inspector General.
So there you go. I can't even take it. So lies through omission right there in that, first 30 seconds of the report from the Department of War. I know, shocking, right? Shocking. Here's the trauma-based mind control part of boot camp, and so indeed the military is a mind control operation, but they proudly posted this at the Department of War, forging future Rangers, putting them through trauma-based mind control. Take a look at the video.
Recognize that fortunate Ranger, fully know the hands of my chosen profession. I'm always endeavor uphold prestige, honor, knowledge. Let's go. Hurry up, Ranger. Surrender's not a Ranger word! Survive! Ranger, lead the way!
There you go. So just a little taste of the trauma they put our troops through to program them to be trained killers for the government. And what is up with the F-35s here? Department of War proudly making this post. Homeland Protection on full display. U.S. Navy F-35s conduct sunset ops in the Indo-Pacific as that region continues to heat up. But the reason I showed you that is this report from Matt Gaetz, who's now a reporter for OAN. He was at the Pentagon yesterday and asking about the F-35s, a giant boondoggle by the military-industrial complex. Let's take a listen to this report. Former Congressman Matt Gaetz there now as a reporter.
The legacy platforms that I've long been a critic of. I'll start with the F-35. They cost about $100 million a copy. What percentage of the F-35 are fully mission capable today?
So that's a great question, Matt, and I appreciate you getting after it, because not enough. Not enough. It is the most capable fighter that we have right now.
When it flies.
When it flies, you're right. It is the most capable fighter. What we have right now, and you saw just last month in the acquisition speech, is a department and leadership that's willing to get after it, to challenge industry, to produce better.
Yeah, but what percentage of them can fly?
So not enough. Not enough.
So but you just called it our most capable platform, and less than 40% of them, by my last review of the Air Force's statements, are fully mission capable. Why is it not failure for a platform to perform at less than 40% when it costs $100 million?
So, Matt, looking at it holistically, sure, you can throw out the number 40%. But when you look at Operation Midnight Hammer, Operation Rough Rider,
those weren't F-35 was not delivering the payload on Midnight Hammer.
But they were supporting, right? And so those B-2s wouldn't have gotten there without that. The airplane.
What would have stopped them?
There are plenty of
It's just so. The dude knows he's lying, and he knows he can't lie to Gates because Gates was in Congress and knows all this stuff, but he's still lying. It's just like, dude, was it 100 million per F-35? Okay, here's released late yesterday from Southcom that your extrajudicial killings there, and these may be drug traffickers, the worst guys in the world. They still need to be. And by the way, dealing drugs is not a death sentence in America, but it is if you're out there in the ocean and being targeted by these maniacs at Southcom and Pete Hegseth. Here's a part of Joint Task Force Southern Spear conducted another kinetic lethal strike on a vessel in international waters. They released this footage late yesterday. Here it is. Arrest them. Gather the evidence, present it to a court, let them have a jury trial or make a plea. We know the routine of how the alleged U.S. justice system is supposed to work. No, they don't do any of that. They say, bad narco-terrorist, drug trafficker, bang. You know what I mean? And that's just simply not how we do things here in America. But now it is under the Trump administration. There is no video or no audio on this. Excuse me. There is video, obviously. Here's the video. And can we believe any of this? You know what I mean? Can we, this is the narrative that they're painting, but we don't know. This is, again, trust the government. For all we know, this is freaking CGI, AI made up. I mean, they don't give us any evidence of anything. Just trust the lying criminal government. And I'm sorry, but you can't be trusted lying criminal government. Look at your track record of lies. Just literally everything you do, spin, lie, cheat, steal, coerce, and so on. Because you, government, are a crime syndicate. And so you're going after the smaller crime syndicate, and we're supposed to cheer it on here? We're all at risk if we allow this to continue to happen. Idiots can't seem to wrap their mind around that fact that if we sign off on this, then the next thing could be you and I. They say we're bad guys for whatever. We're drug dealers, we're terrorists, whatever the next new thing that makes you bad. You know what I mean? People, Americans, maybe they're just a bunch of trolls over their propaganda shills on the internet. They can't seem to wrap their mind around this. Like they set the precedent doing it here, they're going to move on to bigger and better things, which could potentially be you or I. And all the government has to do is say, you're the bad one. Whack. Because that's exactly what they're doing right here. Okay, so this looks all staged and fake, right? But I do agree with the intent. But you got this joker, this Indian dude, Thandor. They couldn't find a goofier guy, right? Out of the Democrats to launch this. So this right here tells you that it's all fake. Just like the feds never freaking don't indict somebody, right? You have a 0.0003% chance of not being indicted by the feds, but somehow they bumble the indictments against Comey and James. Well, same routine here. This should be a slam freaking dunk, right? But they roll out this joker, freaking Sherry Thondar. And I do agree with the intent, but come on, man. It just it's all fake, right? So here he is bringing up the impeachment against Pete Hegseth, but they had to use this character.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth is uniquely unqualified for his role. Every day it becomes clearer that he is engaging in unlawful, illegal activity. That is why today I am preparing 2 articles of impeachment against Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. One for murder and conspiracy to murder, and another for reckless and unlawful mishandling of classified information. Recently, Pete Hegseth has been under increased scrutiny for his direct orders to kill everybody on a small civilian boat off the coast of Venezuela, which had no indication of being hostile.
And see, all that's true, but they roll out this clown. It's like, yeah, so thank you, government and Democrats. Thank you, government, for putting this clown as the face behind actual, hey, we do need law and order. And then this is the clown they roll out. Murder and conspiracy to murder. Don't be a conspiracy theorist, though, even though every other federal indictment is a conspiracy. You know what I'm saying? All right, where are we at here in the show? Technocracy. Now, here's more from Palantir CEO Alex Karp when asked about their links to the CIA. This guy's on freaking, who knows, some type of designer drugs, some uppers, probably something to do with amphetamines. This guy's wired to the freaking gills, man. Take a look.
In the same way the Green Party boxes in.
No. Let me just ask you this. So originally, the CIA, do you remember this, was an early investor in QTEL, the venture capital arm, was.
They said quickly, sorry. Quickly, somebody, Burning Beard on YouTube said, we got to go, what's up with this guy? He looks like a wooden puppet. That's who they, and see, that's why it's going to fall on deaf ears, because the wooden puppet is who they roll out. Just come on, man. They could have put a Democrat up there because they had to be a Democrat, right? Because the whole Republican Democrat were supposed to act like they're fighting each other, right? But they could have put up a Democrat with a military service history. You know what I mean? They could have found somebody a lot better than this wooden doll man right here. But no. So this is a big tell that this is all fake, right? This is all bullshit. I mean, it's real. I believe they really filed the paperwork and all this, but it's all just for show. So the Democrats are going to say, see, we pushed back. They had no intention of ever impeaching Pete Hegseth. It's all political theater for us with a wooden puppet, a marionette strings out of Michigan, selling us this narrative. Okay, back to old Alex Karp, this freaking maniac right here.
An early investor in Palantir. This is why I'm asking the question, actually, because I think there's a lot of people who are looking right now at sort of the industrial policy of the country. The country is taking stakes in businesses that they think are important, national security issues and the like.
But isn't that a classically social democratic view?
Well, maybe it is. But my question to you, it was just going to be, if the White House came to you and said, look, hey, Alex, we really like you. We think you're important to this country. You're a very important part of this. And if we're going to continue to give you these contracts, we want a piece of the action. What you would think of that?
I mean, we'll cross that road when we get there. My understanding is people who are in dire trouble go to the White House and ask for money. And they say, we've made horrific business decisions and we want your help. Why wouldn't the American people participate? One of the biggest problems, if you get to, let's just take,
this guy's on freaking drugs, man. He can't sit still, can't stop fidgeting.
What is the biggest problem in this culture? I'll tell you the biggest problem. No one believes the institutions are credible. And why don't they believe they're? And I struggle to believe they're credible too, because these business leaders make.
He admits that the institutions are not credible. God, come on, man.
Completely stupid decisions. And they get bailed out. A year later, they're getting huge bonuses. What do the American people get? Nothing. And that's a huge problem. Like, if you make, like, so I think the real version is, like, I made a lot of decisions when we began talking, annoying each other 10 years ago. Hopefully I'm annoying you as much as 10 years ago, or more. When I made you know this, every decision Palantir made, FDAs, going public, building products, enterprise, large data sets, going to government, acknowledging American superiority, being pro-meritocracy, launching an AI platform, calling into question that AI models would actually be able to perform without orchestration. Every single one, our ontology, every single one of those was viewed as stupid. You know what I actually have grown to appreciate about capitalism? All the people who made the right decisions went broke, are going out of business, or now have to copy us. Microsoft launched ontology. Everyone wants to do FDEs. Everyone basically copies me and Palantir. That's what I love about this country. If you want to make your stupid decisions and then you go to the White House and ask for money, you should absorb the full risk of that. And I'll tell you the full risk of that. Somehow your salary should be capped to the point where you make a lot of money for the American people. If I was absorbing the full risk of our stupidity, you were absorbing the full risk of my stupidity by putting me on there and knowing all the crazy shit I was going to say, and you're going to have to sit there and listen to it. And you did it. And again, and we're both absorbing the full risk of each other's splendor. At the moment where I am wrong, I have to pay the price for it. Just like, you're at the top of your game. Whether we want it or not, you're at the top of your game. Everybody wants to talk to you. Okay, sometimes that's annoying. Okay, it's like I was talking to you when, there were other people above you. Now I'm talking to you when no one's above you. Okay.
This guy is on some freaking drugs, man. All right, more technocracy news here. Energy Department launches breakthrough AI-driven biotechnology platform, PNNL. This sounds quite horrific. And here it is, as part launched today. Let's see here. Launched by Secretary Wright of the Energy Department as part of his visit to PNNL. Secretary Wright commissioned and signed an anaerobic microbial phenotyping platform. PNNL scientists believe AMP2 will be the world's largest autonomous capable science system for anaerobic microbial experimentation. The platform supports the Trump administration's recent announcement, Genesis mission. We've covered that, which calls on the Department of Energy to transform American leadership in science and innovation with the development of artificial intelligence. And they talk about bioeconomy in here, and it just all sounds like a freaking nightmare. It all sounds like a freaking nightmare to me. Here's the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory. That's the PNNL they're talking about, partnering with, or I do believe this is some type of, they're either partners or actually part of the Department of Energy. Well, let's read a little bit more here. The U.S. Department of Energy today launched a new chapter in autonomous biological discoveries at Pacific Northwestern National Laboratory, commissioning a first of its kind capability designed to accelerate U.S. leadership in the rapid expanding bioeconomy. Sounds like a freaking nightmare to me. Yeah. Pioneering autonomous science facilities puts a big focus on tiny microbes and AI-driven science. And they're saying 2026, we're already in it now, but 2026 will be the year of acceleration. And so they're going to say all these breakthroughs through AI. I think we need to be highly skeptical, to say the least. And then here is, I didn't even know this, but this is a department of the government. And to show you how many departments there are, Environmental Molecular Sciences Laboratory, EMSL. And this is definitely part of the U.S. federal government. I don't think I've heard that term before, bioeconomy. Sounds like a nightmare after what we've been through here now the last 6 years, to say the least. After AI push, Trump administration is now looking to humanoid robots. And so I don't know how we're going to have this massive manufacturing boom and job growth here in America for manufacturing jobs when it's been clear from the start of this whole push that humanoid robots are going to fill that role. 5 months after Trump AI acceleration plan, his administration is now targeting humanoid robotics. Howard Lutnick, Commerce Secretary and Epstein's neighbor and strange bedfellow with the World Trade Centers on 9/11. We won't even get into that now. Anyhow, that same Howard Lutnick that we all know and love met with robotic CEOs pledging full commitment to industry growth through a planned 2026 executive order. So it hasn't happened yet, but it's coming. The Commerce Department backs robotics to aid reshoring production, and the Transportation Department will announce a robotics working group by year's end. Interest on Capitol Hill is rising, although a Republican amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act for a National Robotics Commission failed. Other legislation is moving forward. This positions robotics as the next arena in the U.S.-Chinese competition. So now we can have a Cold War for humanoid robots against China as well and throw $1 billion in a black hole of money laundering fraud. With the administration adopting industrial policy, yet it could undermine Trump's aim to revive manufacturing jobs. You don't say. AI progress allows humanoid robots to handle complex tasks with rapid data processing. China dominates, installing 1.8 million industrial robots in 2023, 4 times the United States total. Countries like China, Japan, Australia, Germany, and Singapore have national strategies. U.S. funding is set to reach $2.3 billion this year, doubling last year's levels. Goldman Sachs predicts a $38 billion global humanoid robot market by 2035. What a freaking nightmare. We're going into the technocracy here now. The industry is lobbying for tax incentives, funding for automation integration and supply chains, and trade measures against Chinese subsidiaries and IP practices. We're in a new humanoid robot Cold War with China, and the funding's coming soon next year. Isn't it also wonderful? And with that, well, let's see. We have our public health section next. And so let's take our live commercial break here now. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com, get yourself some stickers. We have the holograph sticker, the white background sticker, the clear sticker there at Weaponized News. Weaponizednews.com. And we did have a patron that got the old lapel pin. Thank you very much out there, patron. I don't want to name your name, but we do appreciate the patronage to the store. And I did throw in a couple of these stickers along with your pin order. So we do appreciate it. Thank you very much. And thank you to all the subscribers and the patrons and donors to this show. To make it all happen, you are supporting independent reporting and analysis here, brought to you by me and our contributors to the show. So thank you very much for that. Let's go take a look at Weaponized News store quickly here. And what the heck, all-time favorite of mine at the Weaponized News store. Check out this shirt for your patronage, the classic Alexander Solzhenitsyn. And then I did this one a little bit different. We had the Weaponized News logo on the sleeve, if you could see it right there. But of course, the classic quote from Alexander Solzhenitsyn: "We know they are lying. They know they are lying. They know we know they are lying. We know they know we know they are lying, but they are still lying." And of course, he was talking about the Soviet government, but it applies to American government just fine, you see, and all governments for that matter. And so classic Alexander Solzhenitsyn t-shirt, we know they're lying. Go check out weaponizednews.com store. We have over 50 offerings at the store right now. Baseball caps, beanies, long sleeve shirts, t-shirts with custom designs, and a few books over there as well. Go take a look at weaponizednews.com store. Get yourself a sticker and much more. And with that, welcome back to the second half of Weaponized News on this Friday, December 5th, 2025 edition. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to jump right back into judge orders Jeffrey Epstein related grand jury records in Florida to be released publicly as more of this information is coming out. But how much of this will be redacted? A previous bid to release the transcripts was denied by a different judge earlier this year. But I thought it was just a Democrat hoax. That's what Trump has told us. But turns out there's much more to the story. Yeah, there is much more to the story. The newly passed, and Trump did sign, so we at least could give him that, the Epstein Files Transparency Act. Like, we needed all this. He could have declassified it. The president has the power to declassify classified information. We didn't need an act of Congress to do it, but yet we jump through all these hoops whenever they want to put up roadblocks, distractions, and call it a hoax. So we'll be waiting to see that released and how much will be redacted. Probably any important information. Okay, on to now from our federal health department. Here's Dr. Oz talking about the fraud there in Somalia. I mean, Minnesota. Don't call Tim Walz retarded, because I'm sure he was getting kickbacks from this fraud too, some kind of way.
It's true. A Somali fraud ring in Minnesota stole over $1 billion from Medicaid. How did this happen? Well, Medicaid programs are run by the states, which in Minnesota means the Tim Walz administration. Governor Walz and the state's other Democrats rely on Somali votes to get elected, so they decided to look the other way because they were afraid of quote-unquote political backlash. Don't take my word for it. That's what a Somali-American fraud investigator told the New York Times. When these scammers realized that nobody was guarding the cash register, they went gangbusters. One program designed to provide housing stabilization assistance to patients ballooned to $104 million, when 4 years ago it was projected to cost only $2.6 million. Some of these taxpayer funds may have even ended up in the hands of a Somalian terrorist group. Scary stuff. When CMS became aware of the housing program situation, Minnesota insisted it could clean up its own mess. A few months ago, it admitted it could not. So we stepped in to shut down the fraud-infested housing initiative. Today, we're taking action on more than a dozen other programs, which I've outlined in the post below. Our message to Walz is clear. Either fix this in 60 days or start looking under your couch for spare change, because we are done footing the bill for your incompetence. This administration will never stop fighting to protect the vulnerable Americans who rely on these programs and the tax.
But see, no one gets in trouble. Walls is not going to get in trouble. No one in his administration is going to. They're going to find some Somali patsy and say that they were the mastermind of the whole thing. It's just ridiculous. Again, Dr. Oz, a TV doctor, an actor. And then the big news of the day for the medical freedom movement, as it's moving slow as a snail's pace here. And they're still censoring, so make no mistake about that in regards to this topic specifically. Here you go. CDC advisors vote to overturn decades-long policy on Hep B miracle for infants. And so they did that deed today. Here's the video. But hey, you know, the states are Democrat states or whatever states. I could already tell you California 100% is just going to ignore this advice, recommendation from the CDC. And I'm going to say it's still mandated. And many other states are as well, because whenever it goes along with their corruption, hey, you better listen to the feds. When it goes against it, nah, we're going state level. And so beyond hypocrisy, they know what they're doing. It's a giant racket. I can't even go on anymore. I will start screaming with how angry this topic specifically makes me, as our audience already knows. Here's the vote today from CDC. Here's little Dr. Malone.
Let's proceed to vote then. I'm going to call the roll. Dr. Pollack, vote on question 2, yay or nay, and whether you have COI.
Raymond Pollack, I vote no, and no conflicts of interest.
Dr. Stein.
Catherine Stein, no conflicts of interest, and I abstain.
Abstain. Dr. Levy.
Retzef Levy, I vote yes, no conflicts of interest.
Dr. Pebsworth.
Vicki Pebsworth, no conflicts of interest, I vote yes.
Dr. Malone, no COI, yay. Dr. Griffin.
Dr. Griffin, no conflicts of interest, I vote yes.
Dr. Blackburn.
Hillary Blackburn, no conflicts. I support looking at studies. I vote no on this language.
Dr. Pagano.
Dr. Pagano, no conflicts, yes.
Dr. Meissner.
I vote no.
COI?
I have no conflict of interest. Strong no.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Hiblin. Dr. Hiblin, you're on mute again. I appreciate that you do that, but we need to hear your voice. You're still muted, Dr. Hiblin.
Thank you, sir.
There we go.
Thank you for your acknowledgement. I will try to improve my behavior. I have no conflicts of interest, and I vote no.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Milhound.
I, Kirk Milhound, no conflicts of interest. I vote yes.
Okay, what is our head count DFO? One moment. So we have a vote for the record of 6 in favor, 4 opposition, and 1 abstain.
So there you go. So yeah, sadly, your baby's not going to be able to hang out with hookers and junkies like they used to be able to due to this. But hey, don't worry if you're in a tyrannical state like I am in California, they're going to totally ignore this recommendation. But it is a little tiny baby step in the right direction, in my humble opinion, as I've been continually critiquing public health policy for the better part of the last 15 years here now, working in the industry specifically. But we're not going to go there now. Okay, here's what I was missing earlier when I was looking in all the 1,000 tabs I have open to bring you all of this news today. Show note here now, Monday's show, that's this coming Monday, December the, 8th, we'll have Simon back on the program. It will be 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern time. And we're going to focus that show on this document released by the State Department, 33 pages long there, Ruckus. Notice that. The White House has released National Security Strategy of the United States of America. And so here it is. We're going to do a deep dive into this document on Monday with Simon. And so be sure to tune in to that. All right. Elon Musk's X fined $140 million by European Commission over deceptive blue check mark and lack of transparency. I don't necessarily disagree, but hey, it's got them up in arms at the State Department. Here's Secretary of State, little Marco Rubio. The European Commission's $140 million fine isn't just an attack on X. It's an attack on all American tech platforms and the American people by foreign governments. The days of censoring Americans online are over. I'm censored on X right now, little Marco. So all of your rhetoric falls on deaf ears here at Weaponized News. I asked their stupid AI Gronk, is this Weaponized News account on X throttled? It said, yes, it is. And then gives you the reasons why. You know what I mean? So, yeah, very disingenuous to say the least. Here is, some would say they did not see this coming out of Germany. Others would say it's par for the course. German police can now hack phones and enter homes covertly under new surveillance law. Berlin has enacted a new police law granting authorities extensive surveillance powers. Police can now secretly enter homes and monitor digital communications using tools such as, I can't even pronounce that, State Trojan, something written in Stata Junior, something written in German. Anyhow, malicious software. This law allows online searches and increased video surveillance, raising concerns about privacy violations. Critics argue this represents an unprecedented invasion of privacy. Green Party representatives in Germany warned that these measures equate to total surveillance, while others say they did not see this level of tyranny coming from the German government. We here at Weaponized News saw it coming, let me tell you. Okay. Yeah, so they can do that here in America too, you know? They do it. No knock raids. They will go in your house with no warrant. You better believe it 100% here now in America. But now it's codified there in Berlin, Germany, keeping everybody safe, of course. Putin vows uninterrupted energy flow to India after New Delhi visit. And so we documented that yesterday. Putin and Modi, the head of India, were chumming it up like good buddies on the back of U.S. sanction threats against India for buying Russian petroleum because it allegedly fuels the Russian war machine as America buys nuclear materials from Russia. I know. Don't be a terrorist. So, yeah, they're trying to work around, and I'm sure Russia will find a way to get that petroleum to those who demand it. More on, and of course, we voted for Kushner, right? MAGA, I voted for Kushner, even though Trump promised and campaigned that his daughter and Kushner would not be part of this administration. Turns out Kushner's globe-trotting, setting U.S. foreign policy around the world with Witkoff now, as we continue to report, they're negotiating a Russia-Ukraine peace deal. Here's what old Witkoff had to say, the latest developments. Read out a meeting between Special Envoy for Peace Stephen Witkoff and Jared Kushner, who we all voted for, Ukrainian Secretary of National Security and Defense Council. I'm not even going to pronounce that name. These other Ukrainians. Over 2 days, Special Envoy Witkoff and Kushner met with Ukrainian Secretary of National Security and Defense Council's discussions on advancing a credible pathway toward a durable and just peace in Ukraine. Today, the group had the 6th meeting over the past 2 weeks. Ukrainian Secretary reaffirmed that Ukraine's priority is securing a settlement that protects its independence and sovereignty, ensures the safety of Ukrainians, and provides a stable foundation for a prosperous democratic future. The participants discussed the results of a recent meeting of the American side with the Russians and steps that could lead to ending this war. The American and Ukrainians also agreed on the framework for security arrangements and discussed necessary deterrence capabilities to sustain a lasting peace. It goes on. We're still waiting for him to stop pulling the trigger there. As I forget, what was it? Since the unprovoked invasion by Putin on Ukraine, the Ukrainian population has decreased by an estimated 6 million people, and so it's not looking good there. Not looking good for Ukraine, and the rest of and the Russians as well, all dying in this insane war. U.S. opens massive Erbil consulate in testament to partnership with Iraqi Kurds. And so now we have a giant consulate there in Iraq. The U.S. State Department officially opened its new consulate compound in Erbil today, saying it's a testament to Washington's commitment to Iraqi Kurdistan relations. The consulate was built on a massive 206,000 square meter site at the cost of around $800 million. Well, at least we have a fancy consulate over there that terrorists can attack someday and start a new war over. So pretty good news about that new consulate opening up in Iraq. Sudan, an estimated 60,000 killed, 150,000 missing. Satellite images reveal El Fasher slaughterhouse. Satellite images show the El Fasher has become a, quote, slaughterhouse as RSF killing tens of thousands after seizing the city. Large piles of bodies, new mass graves, and cremation pits are visible in satellite imagery. British MPs were briefed that at least 60,000 people are believed to have been killed and up to 150,000 residents remain missing since the RSF captured the city on October 26, 2025. So a little more than a month ago. Human rights experts say Al Fasher is likely the worst war crime of the Sudanese civil war, already marked by mass atrocities and ethnic cleansing, according to a report out of The Guardian. U.S.-led raid on Syrian town of Dumayor aimed at capturing an Islamic State official instead killed Khalid al-Massoud, a man who had secretly gathered intelligence for IS, for Syria's new government. They whacked their own rat here, accidentally, of course. Let's see this report out of the AP.
US military vehicles moving through the Syrian town of Dumair in October this year, a raid meant to target the Islamic State. Instead, it killed this man, Khaled al-Massoud. His relatives and Syrian officials say al-Massoud had been working undercover, infiltrating Islamic State cells to help gather intelligence on the extremists.
دقوا الباب قال مين الساعة 3 بالليل هن نايمين ما قاوم الله بيشهد ما قاوم.
Something tells me he outlived his usefulness and they whacked him. Barack, not Barry Obama, but Barack, the U.S. envoy there to Lebanon, warns that Aardvarkland cannot defeat Hezbollah, urges negotiations as Aardvarkland continues to threaten a larger war to, quote, wipe out the Hezbollah terrorists in Lebanon. Again, you can't kill an idea. And they said disarm, and Hezbollah is not going to disarm. Aardvarkland will not be able to achieve its goals by trying to defeat Hezbollah militarily. U.S. Special Envoy Tom Barak stated today, amid fears that Tel Aviv may launch a full-scale war on Lebanon. Well, this guy is now a damn Hezbollah terrorist, right? I mean, following the rhetoric, special U.S. envoy to Lebanon there, Barak. Damn Hezbollah sympathizer. Even though nothing could be further from the truth, it doesn't matter, you see. It doesn't matter. Telling the truth is now punishable by being deemed a terrorist. Highlights from Hezbollah Secretary General Naim Qasim's speech at the Blood and Ink ceremony celebrating Hezbollah's scholars killed during the war. Here's some excerpts from said speech. He said, "We cooperate with everyone to build the state and liberate the land. We do not wait for anyone's certificate of approval, nor do we grant one to anyone. Lebanon is facing a dangerous aardvark enemy that must be confronted by all means and methods. Allowing the state to implement the agreement and appointing a civilian to lead the ceasefire monitoring committee was a blunder. The aardvark enemy is expansionist and has not adhered to the agreement. These attacks are not about weapons, but about laying the groundwork for the greater Aardvarkland project." Indeed. The boundary we must uphold in all our relations is the boundary set by the agreement, which refers extensively to south of the Litani. They want to eliminate our existence, not just disarm us. We will defend ourselves, our people, and our country, and we will not surrender. We will not give any importance to Aardvark servants. Anyone who backs away from the Aardvark project, we will open the door for them. We have done what is required of us. We enable the state to impose its sovereignty within the framework of the agreement. Lebanon is like a ship. Aligning with Aardvarkland is putting a hole in the ship. U.S. Navy cites stress of fighting Ansarallah and overextension in USS Harry S. Truman mishap off of Yemen. The U.S. Navy has released the results of an investigation into 4 incidents involving the USS Harry Truman carrier strike group during its deployment near Yemen earlier this year, attributing the mishaps largely to stress and the operational overexertion. The incidents occurred between December 2024 and May 2025, included the loss of 3 FA-18 Super Hornet aircraft into the Red Sea and a collision between the Truman and a merchant vessel near Port Said, Egypt, costing over $100 million and injuring multiple sailors. The probe found that Yemen missile and drone attacks, combined with intense operational demands and sleep-deprived crews, left personnel and critical systems ill-prepared for combat missions. Sailors described a, quote, pressurized schedule and a culture of just get it done, highlighting the strain imposed by extended operations. The deployment came amid a pro-Palestinian campaign by Yemeni forces targeting Aardvark-linked ships following Aardvark Land's 2023 assault on Gaza. The U.S. and Aardvark Land conducted repeated airstrikes in Yemen, prompting Washington to deploy aircraft carriers to deter retaliatory strikes. A ceasefire brokered by Oman was reached in May of 2025 after months of hostilities and bombardment. Sounds pretty damn incompetent, but hey, what the hell? Get the damn terrorist, even if you're having all these mishaps, right? Report details deep Aardvark intelligence links behind firm running U.S. government cybersecurity. Yeah, it's perfectly fine. Don't be antiseptic. Drawing on reporting by journalist Nate Baer of Do Not Panic, a new investigation reveals that Axonus, a firm operating inside more than 70 U.S. federal agencies, was created and staffed by alumni of Aardvark Land's famous Unit 8200, its premier intelligence unit. Though marketed as an American cybersecurity firm headquartered in New York, Axonus engineering-based founders and early investors are overwhelmingly tied to Aardvark intelligence networks. Its platform centralizes and analyzes the digital activity of millions of federal employees, giving operators broad visibility over devices, logins, browsing behavior, and the ability to disable accounts or quarantine equipment. Reporting shows that Axonus expanded with extraordinary speed after its founders left Aardvark Land Military Intelligence, securing millions in seed funding from venture capitalists with similar intelligence backgrounds before landing hundreds of millions more from U.S. investors closely connected to Aardvark Land's tech military ecosystem. Despite these origins, Axonus has secured contracts with the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of War, the Department of Logistics Agency, and dozens of other federal departments, effectively embedding software engineered by former Aardvark spies at the core of U.S. cybersecurity infrastructure. Doesn't that make you feel all safe, warm, and fuzzy inside? They should post that along with this image. Where are we at here? We got to go way back. Excuse me. Way back here now. Can we find it? Oh, maybe not. Let me pull it up from here, from the thumbnail of the show, and they should put that right along with this image from the Department of Homeland Security. Put that little report how our cybersecurity infrastructure is now embedded with Aardvark former intelligence spies. And so they should actually have put that narrative on this meme coming out of the Department of Homeland Security. Thank you very much for that. Okay, continuing here. Sorry, I had to get that image back up. Okay, continuing here. Yeah, you got to love Aardvark Land Unit 8200. They're the good guys. Okay, over 1,000 hand-picked Christian Zionist pastors are in Aardvark Land for special training focused on the, quote, battle of truth, committed to defending Aardvark Land at any cost. Let's take a look at this video from some complete maniacs.
The group began with prayer and worship on the ancient southern steps that led to the Temple Mount in Jesus' day. Then they visited the Western Wall.
Some 16 million people pray at the Western Wall each year, but this is the first time a group of this size has come to offer such a unique blessing and prayer.
Each person had a paper with the name of someone massacred on October 7th. They put them in the cracks of the Western Wall and prayed for the victims' families. The pastors met with Western Wall Rabbi Shmuel Rabinovich, who prayed Psalm 121, which proclaims God's protection over Israel. Rabinovich later commended the group for their support.
In Shamayim, I pray of you. God bless you.
They're a group that came to confirm the friendship between America and Israel, to confirm that this world is a world that the Holy One created for good, to reject evil, to be against those who want to do evil and not good.
Rabinovich told CBN News that Israel and the Jewish people cherish and appreciate the support from the U.S. government and the nation's Christians.
We want to say thank you to them for supporting us in so many ways. It's a period when so many people want to hurt us and kill us on the 7 fronts we're fighting, and America stands by our side. These 1,000 leaders will bring our message of thank you to the American people.
People on the tour said they'll return with testimonies of Israel's importance to America and the world.
Israel is a...
So there you go. All these brainwashed, everybody knows, all the Christian Zionists know, ethnic cleansing, genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity. It's a very Christian take there. So we do appreciate these Christian Zionist brainwashed maniacs going over there and praising Aardvark land on a genocidal tour. There's a ceasefire and peace in the Middle East, Trump has told us. We played the videos of him proclaiming as such. That's why every day we report here on heavy artillery firing going on into Gaza by the Aardvarks, because there's a ceasefire, you see. Moments ago, this was, I don't know, 12 hours ago. I didn't do the last 24 hours, let's just say, for accuracy in reporting. Aardvark forces carried out bombing operations on a number of residential buildings. They're east of Al-Tufa neighborhood in parts of Gaza City. Here's an image. And so ceasefire means continually bombing campaigns and heavy artillery shelling campaigns and stacking the bodies. A CNN investigation indicates that Aardvark forces bulldozed the bodies of Palestinians killed while trying to collect food near the Kazim crossing in Gaza, burying them in shallow, unmarked graves or leaving them to decompose in areas too dangerous for retrieval. Drivers who collected aid from Zichem described seeing decomposing bodies regularly, saying Aardvark bulldozers bury them to cover them with dirt. Satellite images confirm consistent bulldozer activity at the site throughout the summer. And that's what these Christian Zionists are praising, mass graves in Gaza. And then some sad news, honestly. This is what happens if you have a conscience and you're an actual person with a soul. Aardvark soldier took his own life. He was part of the first ground invasion into Gaza. Lithuanian Aardvark soldier Thomas Gaskas, I can't pronounce his name. Anyway, this guy took his own life. Turns out he has a conscience. I know, shocking. Took his own life after posting a message on Facebook saying, in part, I did things that I cannot be forgiven for. On October 7th, the date that ruined my life and destroyed everything I was, I can't anymore. I am ruin. I am devastation. I did things that cannot be forgiven, and I cannot live with it anymore. No one understands me anyway. There is a demon inside me that has been chasing me since 7/10, 10/7, right? The worst attack in the history of the world. Please forget me and remember the Thomas, who was an officer and a sniper commander. That Thomas died on the 7th. I am only a soul searching for peace. For the 2 years now, I haven't been able to live with myself. So there you go. This aardvark soldier killed himself because he has a conscience and realized that he was committing genocide and couldn't live with himself. And so that right there should be enough to say, hey, let's stop. But aardvarks say we don't give a damn. He's an antiseptic now, you know what I mean? And so they don't even have sympathy for their own soldiers, as the U.S. doesn't. Then we don't have sympathy for our own soldiers as we thank you for your service. Bullshit. This stuff pisses me off with all the fake platitudes. If you really cared about the soldiers, you'd be saying stop peace now, damn it. You know what I mean? But no, the fake platitudes, thank you for your service, keeping us safe, you're fighting for our freedom. Bullshit. Bullshit. But that's where we're at here now. That's where we're at here now. Aardvark soldiers committing suicide, those with a soul that can't live with themselves for committing genocide. Very sad. It's sad, man. And with that, we're signing off this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Be sure to tune in Monday. Again, we're going to go over the national security report released by the White House with Simon on Monday, special time, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 Eastern. We're going to do a deep dive into that document. So be sure to tune in then. Let's go over to the channels now. Shout out to the Odysee audience. I do see Gurr, Highland. Thank you guys for tuning in over there. Let's see, what are they saying here? What are they saying? I've got nothing against the game itself. It's a copious amount of BS around it that bothers me. Talking about the soccer, I believe. So they're chatting amongst themselves. Thank you, gentlemen, for keeping that chat going on the Odysee and tuning in on this Friday edition of Weaponized News. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on the Bitchute, the X, Kick, Facebook, Twitch, Rumble, and YouTube. Thank you, everybody, for... Oh, yeah, and a reminder, there's Ruckus. He's going to be doing his program, I do believe, tonight. The Boiler Room, is that still on for tonight, Ruckus? I'm looking for his reply in the chat on YouTube. I think it's still on. Anyhow, go to Rumble and check out Boiler Room with Ruckus on there. Yep. Go over there and check out Ruckus on the Boiler Room following this show on the Rumble. And with that, we're going to sign off for this Friday edition of Weaponized News. As always, everybody have a great weekend. Do your own research. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. And again, tune in on Monday, special time, for a breakdown of national security policy released by the White House. It's going to be a great one on Monday with Simon.